A catastrophic failure of the American-made Patriot missile defense system over the skies of a major Ukrainian city has delivered a devastating blow to Ukraine's war effort and shattered the long-held belief in Western technological superiority. A massive, meticulously coordinated Russian air assault, described by military analysts as a textbook saturation attack, overwhelmed the sophisticated defense, resulting in widespread destruction and significant casualties. Key infrastructures, military command posts, and civilian areas were struck with brutal precision, leaving a scene of chaos and despair. The event marks a grim turning point in the conflict, proving that Russia has developed a potent and effective strategy to defeat the West's most advanced air defense technology. The psychological impact on Ukraine and its NATO allies is profound, forcing a painful and urgent reassessment of military strategy in the face of a newly emboldened Moscow. The Russian attack was a symphony of destruction, launched in the pre-dawn hours under the cover of darkness. It began not with advanced missiles, but with a swarm of hundreds of low-cost, slow-moving drones. These drones, launched from multiple directions, served a critical purpose to act as bait. The Ukrainian air defense network, including the Patriot batteries, was forced to engage them, firing off dozens of expensive interceptor missiles, each costing several $1 million to destroy drones that cost only a few $1,000s each. This initial wave was designed to deplete the limited stockpiles of Ukrainian interceptors and to reveal the locations of the air defense batteries as their radar lit up to track the incoming threats. Once the defenders had partially exhausted their resources, the second and far more lethal phase of the attack began. A coordinated barrage of cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and most critically, hypersonic missiles was unleashed from land, sea, and air. These weapons travel along complex trajectory, flying low to avoid radar detection or streaking through the upper atmosphere at speed exceeding 5 times the speed of sound. The remaining Patriot interceptors, which are highly effective against traditional aircraft and some types of ballistic missiles, were simply not designed to cope with such a complex and multifaceted threats. The speed and maneuverability of the hypersonic weapons, such as the Kinzhal and Zircon missiles, rendered the Patriot system's tracking and engagement capabilities almost useless. The results on the ground were calamitous. One of the primary targets was the city's central energy hub, a critical node in the national power grid. Multiple missiles struck the facility, causing massive explosions that plunged millions of residents into darkness. Another series of strikes targeted a key railway bridge, severing a vital supply line used to transport Western military aid from the Polish border to the front lines. The most alarming reports, however, came from the heart of the city, where a fortified underground bunker believed to house senior Ukrainian military commanders and Western advisors was reportedly hit by a deep penetrating hypersonic missile. Ukrainian officials have refused to comment on these reports, but the lack of communication from several high-ranking military figures has fueled intense speculation about a catastrophic loss of leadership. Tragically, several missiles also went astray or were aimed at civilian population centers, with one striking a large apartment complex and another hitting a hospital, overwhelming emergency services already struggling with the destruction elsewhere. The failure of the Patriot system has sent shockwave through the Pentagon and the entire Western military alliance. In Washington, Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth held an emergency press conference to address the crisis. In a somber but defiant tone, Hegseth acknowledged the deeply sobering events and confirmed that a number of Patriot systems had been rendered inoperable during the assault. He was careful, however, not to blame the technology itself. Instead, he framed the incident as a stark lesson in the realities of modern warfare against a peer adversary. Hegseth stated that no air defense system in the world can guarantee 100% protection against a massive, coordinated attack of this scale and sophistication. He pointed to Russia's effective use of electronic warfare, which likely jammed or degraded the Patriot sensitive radar system, making it difficult to track and engage in the most advanced incoming threats. Secretary Hegseth announced that the Department of Defense was dispatching an urgent technical assessment team to analyze the wreckage and understand precisely how the Russian attack succeeded. He also pledged to accelerate the delivery of additional air defense assets to Ukraine, including more interceptors. However, he also managed expectations, stating that technology alone is not a magic solution and that the war would ultimately be won through great tactical innovation and a sustainable supply of conventional munition. Privately, Pentagon officials are said to be in a state of alarm. The attack not only exposed a vulnerability in a key American weapons system, but also provided Russia with invaluable intelligence on its operational limitations. Allies across the globe who have spent billions of dollars purchasing Patriot systems from Poland and Romania on NATO's eastern flank to Taiwan and Japan in the Pacific are now urgently demanding answers and assurance from Washington. The White House response, led by President Donald Trump, was characteristically direct and political. In a series of posts on social media, President Trump expressed his frustration, questioning the intelligence and strategy that led to the deployment of the valuable system in such a vulnerable matter. He suggested that the failure was not of the weapon, which he called the best in the world, but of the deep state bureaucrats and inexperienced generals who failed to anticipate the Russian strategy. He used the incident to reinforce his central argument that the United States should not be bearing the primary burden of Europe's defense. He questioned the immense financial cost of the aid to Ukraine, asking why American taxpayers were funding a conflict with no clear end in sight, especially when the advanced technology provided seemed to be vulnerable. This public questioning from the commander-in-chief has created significant uncertainty about the future of American support for the war. The intelligence community is also under intense scrutiny. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard issued a statement acknowledging that the scale and complexity of the Russian operation exceed our most recent intelligence assessment. She spoke of a sophisticated Russian campaign of deception that masked the buildup of missile forces and concealed the development of their advanced electronic warfare capabilities. Gabbard announced a comprehensive review of the intelligence community's method for assessing Russian military technology and doctrine. Her statement suggested a significant intelligence failure, admitting that the United States had underestimated Russia's ability to innovate and adapt on the battlefield. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency John Ratcliffe added that his agency had indications of a major operation being planned, but that the specific timing and multifaceted nature of the assault were not fully appreciated until it was too late. This admission has done little to calm the nerves of allies who depend on American intelligence to protect them from similar attacks. The repercussions of the Patriot system's failure have been felt most acutely across Eastern Europe. In Poland, which has invested heavily in Patriot batteries to defend against potential Russian aggressions, the news was received with outright fear. Polish defense officials immediately convened emergency meetings with their American counterparts. The public mood in Warsaw has shifted from confident defiance to deep anxiety. The question on everyone's mind is simple. If the Patriots could not protect a Ukrainian city, can they protect Warsaw? The Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which exist in the shadow of their large neighbor, feel more exposed than ever. Their leaders are now urgently calling for an emergency NATO summit to discuss the alliance air defense posture. The incident has undermined the core pillar of NATO's deterrent strategy, which relies on the assumption of Western technological overmatch. For Ukraine, the event is a military and psychological catastrophe. The Patriot system had become a powerful symbol of Western commitment and a source of hope for the civilian population. Its presence allowed a semblance of normal life to return to some cities as people felt protected from the constant threat of missile strikes. That sense of security has been violently shattered. Morale within the Ukrainian armed force, already strained by a long and brutal war of attrition, has taken a significant hit. Soldiers on the front line now know that their command centers, supply depot, and even their families in cities far from the fighting are no longer safe. The government in Kyiv is now faced with an impossible dilemma. It must find a way to counter a new and terrifyingly effective Russian tactic without the miracle weapon it had come to rely on. Moscow, meanwhile, is celebrating a major triumph. Russian state television has been running non-stop coverage of this attack, hailing it as a historic victory of Russian ingenuity and military prowess. The footage of burning buildings and overwhelmed Ukrainian defense is being used as a powerful propaganda to demonstrate to the Russian people that their country is winning the war and can overcome anything the West throw at it. On the international stage, Russia is using the event to market its own anti-aircraft system, such as the S-400, to potential buyers. Russian diplomats are actively engaging with countries in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, arguing that the failure of the Patriot system proved that American military hardware is overrated and that Russia offers more reliable and combat-proven alternative. This propaganda victory could have long-lasting geopolitical consequences, eroding American influences and prestige in key regions of the world. The myth of the invincible Western weapon has been broken, and the strategic calculus of the war in Ukraine and potentially of future conflicts has been permanently and dangerously altered. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, and so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed, and that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to So K and Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first one's on me. But if you have watched the show before, it's like you're a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build the show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.